There is fire on the mountain. It seems as if Malawi is a country that is burning. There is violence all across the country, and there is condemnation that is happening all across the nation and internationally. Now, this is a very, very, very hot podcast episode today of Reawakening Malawi. And I'm sitting here with Bantu Sanders Juma, and the first question that comes across is, what do you have to say about the violence and the condemnation that it is causing nationally and internationally?
It is very pathetic. It is very disappointing. It is a bad sign looking at that we only have 8 days into elections. These are signs that tells that the coming elections are not going to be free and fair, are not going to be done in an environment of peace, because the security apparatus of the country, police and military, have shown their weakness, and they have shown their biasness, that they are part of the political party, not part of the government. So it's very dangerous, and it's now a story that is everywhere in the world, that Malawi has now, it looks like we have jumped from democracy to ninja state to pariah state. So it's very dangerous and very pathetic for the country, and that is how things are at the moment.
Would you say that these protests that are coming before elections could be some sort of a strategy to destabilize the country?
Exactly, because the incumbent government of the Congress Party realized that they have lost touch from 2023. From 2021-22, we thought that was time of rebuilding the nation, or maybe you can say healing the wounds, or removing the rubble, as they said. But from 2023, 24, 25, that is where it showed that these people have lost ideas. They have lost, they don't have even self-confidence because they don't know what they are doing. So it looks like they have realized that there is nothing that they are going to get in elections. So what they want to do is now incite violence. They are trying to cause havoc so that citizens, either they get angry, they don't go to vote, or maybe they should scare people that if we don't vote for them, then they are going to maybe cause war, there will be some fights. So these are the signs.
Talking about this point that you're making about scaring the citizens into voting, it seems as if the principles and morals of democracy are being undermined within the country.
I'll tell you this, since this country got independence, democratic principles have always been running out of the window. A political party that comes in do not adopt or adapt to the democratic principles. Because usually political parties that are in power, they are the one that brings the system that destroys or that undermines the principles of democracy.
So could we, like the direction that we're on right now, it seems as if we're going back to one-party rule.
Exactly. What I'm saying here is that these governments that have come in the past, their intention, their idea is trying to derail democratic rails, democratic path, so that maybe we can create something that brings us back to dictatorship and one party.
Looking at this from the perspective of the youth, one thing that I'm seeing is that it seems as if all of these people with their titles are just continuing the status quo of tribalism and the pain that Malawi has been facing.
That's a question mark that, or maybe many people are worried to say, this country has leaders with titles. We have doctors who are presidents, we have been having professors who have been presidents, but still what they do on the ground, according to their titles, one will wonder, are these titles really meaning anything to their job? So to me, I see there's no need for us to be having titles. If you were Mr., you are Mr. Just go in the government and do what you know best. But if we say no, because you need to have a title, then you can see that for 30 years of democracy, no one has followed. Because what is happening now, the previous government was doing the same. There's no change, game change that they have shown that these ones were different and these are different. It's the same. Particularly now, my Congress Party is now worse. And with them, it's more worse because their history in the past under one party state was the same. we were expecting that they are going to come a blended party with new politics rebranding itself, as they said, but that's not the case.
Muviwa Chilungam is trying to bring change in the country.
Exactly.
A couple of days ago, you released a statement speaking about the fact that we have old and recycled politicians in the government. And can you clarify on that right now?
That is something that I would say could be the point of departure if we want to make sure that democracy deepens in our country. Because what is happening in our country is that we have departed from a government that saves. We have now entered into a government that benefits. You understand? So if I say government that benefits, I'm talking about individuals. What I mean here is that you find that politics of Malawi has been deadened by the very same people. You understand? These are the people that are hired in new party to ask them, how did you do with the others? You were in the government under that party. How did you tackle issues like this? You understand? So this looks like they have got high qualifications, high credentials to know how government works, yet these are destroyers of democracy. Because you find that some of the people, the instruments that they use in a new political party or in a new government, they are the same instruments they used in the previous. That failed the country. I'll give you an example. DPP was removed from power because of the same mentality that we are facing today. They were violent, they were hacking people, they were plotting, there were a lot of things that they did, crimes that they committed. But after DPP lost, almost maybe senior people from that party crossed the river, crossed the floor to Malawi's party. Now Malawi's party has got already a traditional heart of they don't know democracy. And these people leave Democratic Party, go that side, and infuse more violent heart to Malawi's party. So these are the dangerous people that have destroyed our country. Because they take the mentality of what they were doing in the past or in another government, they bring it here, telling the new leaders that this is what we do. If you want to stay longer, you do this, you do this. At the end of the day, destroying democracy.
No, but it seems as if the morals and principles of democracy are really misunderstood in this country. And before we speak about that, the point that you've highlighted is that we are using recycled politicians. Politicians who continue or perpetuate tribalism within Malawi. Now, Muviwa Chilungam is trying to change the status quo. How are you going to be able to change almost 30 years of tribalism and hatred?
There are two things. There are two objects, or there are two groups of people that have been contaminated. One are the people. The people of Malawi themselves have been contaminated, deadened through this politics. The second one are politicians themselves, office bearers. These two people, we want to target them with one topic. We need to change the way we do things. We need to change the way we think. We need to change the way how we see things. That is where we bring our first fundamental principle of mindset change. We need to change the mindset. Malawi is failing to develop because the people that are sitting on the helm, they want Malawi to remain where it is because they benefit. I will tell you this, our country, maybe people were hired on merit, maybe up to 1994-93. After 1994, and I'll tell you it was also there before, but it was not visible. This time it's visible, it's exposed everywhere. Hiring in Malawi is based on nepotism, tribalism, regionalism. So once you start putting in government or in the system such people through tribalism, this is what we see today, violence. Because the one who is on the chair is my tribe. The president is my tribe. You understand? The political party is from our region. So I will, whether they are doing best or they are not doing anything, I will vote for them. And I will kill if anybody wants to unseat that government. That is the mentality of citizens. That in our revolution, we want to make sure that we twist and change that mindset. That let's not look at the tribe, let's not look at the region, look at the principles. Who can do what is the person that we need. You understand? On the political arena, we need also to infuse a mindset that let us bring new ideas, fresh ideas. Not because he was in a party, there he was a secretary general, here he's going to have a position. There he was a central committee member, here he will be deputy publicity secretary. We are destroying the future of Malawi. Because if I want to tell you, if we could keep on having this mindset, then there was no need for multi-party democracy. We brought multi-party democracy because we wanted different ideas, different opinions. But you find that since the advent of multi-party in 1994, different opinions are not counted. They are not even thought of. Whenever you have a different idea, you are labeled as a dissent, you are labeled as a rebel, you are labeled as somebody who don't respect the government of the day. But the government of the day under multi-party democracy has to be held accountable. Like in this case of the violence of 3 days ago, government of my Congress Party and President Jaguar must be held accountable. But I'll tell you, just to add on that, President Jaguar made a statement. He's in Nigeria now. He made a statement that he wants this violence that took place to be probed. You cannot ask a perpetrator to investigate himself. It can't be. The police failed its job. The defense failed its job. A president's duty is to fire the leaders and bring new faces and tell them, can you probe? That's where you can find justice. But when a system is contaminated, what you do is you smoke screen. You use a smoke screen. The president here is using a smoke screen. What he's trying to do is to cool off the situation. The climate must come down, you understand, because temperatures are high.
But then don't you believe it's counter or your point if it is that this violence is being caused by his party and then he wants to cool it down at the same time? Which one is it? Or it's politics?
The president is playing politics here. He knows. Because these violence are not the first time. People have complained, NGOs have complained, political parties have complained. This is maybe the 5th or 7th series of violence that are taking place across the country. The president never say anything. What he do is when other people speak, he will say, I want to comment. I want to go ahead with what former president have said. Me too, I'm condemning. Why do you say that? You are the one who's leading the country.
It seems as if he's not in the role.
It looks like now too, he too is an onlooker. He's just watching what other people are doing. You are in operation. You are the one who's in the engine room. You have to act. When the people outside are complaining, they want you to do something. But the president don't do anything.
The values of democracy are heavily misunderstood here. And you know, that point that you made, it makes me think about how it seems as if party politics is heavily infused with tribal rule or tribal morals and principles. Let me explain it like this. In a village or within one tribe, there are cultures and norms within that specific tribe. The Chawas do not operate the same way as the Nyanjas.
Yes.
So I believe this comes back to the point that we were speaking about a couple of episodes ago about how you need to bring in a senate or a place where chiefs congregate.
Exactly.
Meaning the Chewa chiefs can come together
with the Nyanjas, Yawos, and other tribes.
And this will give the opportunity for a separation. Government should operate on the morals and principles of democracy without any creed, without any favoritism. And then chiefs should operate their own way. Because it seems like in Malawi, it's one thing.
This is where the problem is. I would say that politicians are not game changers. Politicians have got their own interests. They are employed to lead the country, but they have got their personal vendettas. We remain in power. Our party should remain forever. That's a vendetta of a politician. But democracy says you have to change ideas, change opinions for the sake of the country, for the sake of the people. In Malawi, we have misunderstood, or maybe we have misinterpreted the meaning of democracy. You know, what is wrong in our country is that we want each and every idea to come from a politician's mind. So the heart of the politician is not the country, is power, absolute power. I must continue, I must be me. After me, my brother must come. After my brother, my son must come. That's the mentality of the politician. But democracy said only better principles, good principles that Malawians can listen to and approve, that is the leader of the country. That is not what is happening in Malawi. So I will tell you this. for the past 61 years, we haven't chosen pure leaders for the country. We haven't chosen or voted for purists. We have chosen, what can I say? We have chosen people that are, let me say, propagandists. People who come in with another purpose. I'm saying this because President Jawara is one person that we thought, all of us as a country, he is going to be a game changer. He will separate the powers of the government and of the party.
Or tribal lines.
Or tribal lines. You understand? But that did not happen. There were some good principles that he said before he entered into the government. But after, he has changed completely. He don't speak against violence. If he speaks, he waits for other people to talk. Then he come in as a listener, or maybe like somebody who's coming behind and say, me too, I hate that, but I don't like it. If you're a leader, you act. Like in this case, we called for him to fire police chief, to fire defense force chief, because this security apparatus has failed to save the nation. But what he's saying is that he's asking the very same people who failed to investigate. What are they going to investigate?
You know, most of the time when it comes to situations like this where we have to bring change, it's very, very difficult for us to imagine a reality that is beyond the one that we are in.
Exactly.
And one thing that is making me think about that is I'm asking myself, how are we going to contrast the leadership that we're receiving right now in Malawi from Chakwera? There are leaders out there, which is, I believe, the likes of Niger, Burkina Faso. These are gold mines that are owned by Canada that were taken away from one of the countries in the Sahel region.
Niger.
That's Niger.
Yeah.
Recently, I've heard that Nigeria has its own fully owned oil refinery, right?
Yeah.
And you start to see that there's a new wave of African leadership coming forward.
Exactly.
We don't need to talk about Traore. Now, contrast that level of leadership, contrast that level of pushing against the odds with what we're receiving in Malawi right now. It seems as if, before I let you, it seems as if Muviwa Chiringam is trying to be this new wave of African leadership. Do you really think you can be the liberator of Malawi?
I don't think I know, because we know what is wrong in the country. What is wrong is that leaders come with an agenda. That's the problem number one. Politicians come, they are looking for how long they will sit on the chair of the presidency. They don't look how long they are going to change the lifestyle, the livelihoods of the people, and how they will change the country's perspective. So Muviwa Chiringam is the only solution, because we know where things went wrong. Number one, if we were to make sure that we need democracy that is transparent, robust, and progressive, what we need to do was to make sure that all the atrocities that took place in the past must come to the open. The youth of today, you must know what happened. And if there are people that needs to face justice, let them be. If the country say let's forgive, to reconcile, for the sake of unity, let's do so. But that did not happen, number one. Number two, chiefs, traditional leaders who are the owners of the people in the villages and all over the country, they are not included in decision making of the country's laws. They are told by a politician. Now a politician cannot be trusted to think about the country's future, because the term of a politician is 10 years. So you look at the period of 10 years, while traditional leaders and chiefs, they will look beyond the 10 years. Because they live there, they are with the same people. That's why we say we need to, first of all, to bring all the chiefs in one house. They should have their own chamber that we call a Senate. Laws must be made by politicians in parliament, but before the president, who is also a politician, signs, must first go to the traditional leaders. They should engage, check, try to assess the laws. If they are for the good of the country, then they can now go to the president to be passed. If they are not, they must turn them back. Tell them that according to us, we don't favor these laws. Change them. You understand? That's one way of changing. Secondly, we need to make sure that this type of thing that is happening now should end violence. Because this violence that is happening, it's a political tool. it is no secret Malawi Congress Party is perpetrating this violence in order to remain in power.
And may we mention the fact that it seems as if under Malawi Congress rule, we have not been allowed the liberty of peaceful protest.
Exactly. Now, the Malawi Congress Party want to lie. As I said, it's a smoke screen. They want to cheat the nation that no, they are not part and parcel. But they are now pointing fingers at DPP, the previous government. But previous government don't hold police control, don't hold this military control. Who holds these apparatuses? It's the government. So Malawi Congress Party is the one that is in power. They have the power to ask police and army to bring anyone, even of DPP or of movie, to justice if we break the laws. But these are people that are perpetrating violence in front of the police, in front of the military, and they are not caught. You know, if it was a politician, a political party, if it was opposition, let me say DPP caused this violence. I'm telling you, the very same yesterday, police could have arrested them. The very same moment of the violence, army could do something. But because it is people that are sent by the ruling party, the police, they will tell you that we cannot bite the hand that feeds us. Jesus. You understand? So even the police chief, one, the military chief, they are all appointed by the president. The president owns the party that is ruling the country. And he's under pressure to lose election. What does he do? He makes sure he threatens the heads of the security apparatuses. If you don't do what I'm doing, I will fire you. Now, our country is poor. I want to tell you this. This is the biggest problem. Our country is poor. We rely on government salary. We have nothing that we do outside work. So everyone is asking, if I'm pushed out of work, where will I survive? How will I survive? So in our country, in our party, we want to bring a new initiative whereby we should have cooperative societies. That government, once the House of Senate is created, the chiefs will have to put people in groups across the whole country. So contracts of governments must be given to those cooperative societies. That is to empower people so that even if you were police chief, you were a military general, you have lost your job here, you also belong to the cooperative society where you come from. You receive something there. Government, as a contractor, will contract all civil society all cooperative societies, so that every Malawian must benefit and be socially independent. You understand? So there is no government or no political party that will tell you this idea. Why? Because all political parties here want to change Malawians into poverty so that they can use them, so that they can always rally behind them by threatening to say, if you don't do this as a police officer, I will transfer you to the remote area, or I will demote you, or I will fire you. So in our government, we want to say, when the Senate comes in, the president or the three houses of the government must not be the appointing authority in highest institutions like military, police, reserve bank. This must be independent institutions. President should also be afraid to control them because they affect the whole country. Yet we know the president is a person who has got interest on his own agenda to remain in power or to put a brother or a friend or a child in power. While these institutions, they are looking for each and every person. That is the biggest problem for our country.
The ordinary Malawian citizen, the senior citizen, the youth, is the person or are the people who suffer the most.
Exactly.
In closing, I would like to ask you, what message do you have for the ordinary Malawian?
Let me speak to Malawians, fellow Malawians. We have all witnessed, and all of us are crying, are in mourning now because our country's democracy is now being slaughtered when we watch. As citizens without power, we got nothing to do as we watch government perpetrating violence against us. But you know that it is a birthright and is a democratic right for everyone to stand up when things are not going right. But now, with the situation that we are in now, we see that the government is perpetrating or pushing us to the corner. so that we cannot voice out when things are not right. We cannot be able to speak out when the government is failing. We should just follow them, even if they are destroying the country. Now, I appeal to you. Elections are coming in 80 days. You have the biggest task, because this is the only time government has given you a chance to go and choose who should lead you, who should run this country the next 5 years. Be careful. Recycled politicians and old politicians. When I say old politicians, I don't mean age-wise. I mean those that have been in politics for maybe more than 30 years, 40 years. This is the time for them to go home and bring new ideas, the youth, to come in and run this country. Because they have fresh mind, they have got fresh opinions, and they have new ideas to turn around this country. This country is too small. It just needs a political will, a leader who will change his mindset and say, let us now give our people what they need. There we don't have a problem, we can do it. But if you keep on voting for old and recycled politicians, just know that this country is going nowhere. Now, you should know, there's no sugar in shops. There's no fuel in all service stations. There's no foreign money in this country. But I'll tell you this, as I speak to you, over 15 ministers are not in the country. I even heard that the vice president just left Mozambique 2 days ago, now is going to Spain. The president is in Nigeria. They are using Forex. Where do they get this money? Forex. It's the government to put Forex. Now, why don't we have Forex all of us? Because some of you have got saloons, some of you have got tuck shops, some of you have got companies, some of you have got factories, some of you have farms, and you need materials from outside for you to run. But if there is no Forex, we are chained, you are chained. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. Don't look at the face, look at the eyes of a person, and make sure that the government that comes is going to erase the bad history of 61 years. Mind you, we have already passed 50 years. We have already 11 years already sloping down. 61 years of independence. We can't be worried about social welfare. This is the time we could be worried about economic transformation. But we are worried of social welfare. We are worried of political welfare. When are we going to start worried about economic transformation? Let us find good leaders to bring us political stability. Let us find young people of fresh mind to bring us social order. These ideas can now bring a new mindset of economic transformation. That's what I can tell Malawians.
Thank you for watching Reawakening Malawi. Send in your comments. We haven't received any comments yet. We hope to talk to you again.